Hey everyone, and welcome to another Yogi Misfit session. My name is Danny Tublin, and I'm your host. Welcome to session 46. On today's show, I've got Bryan on the show. Bryan is a really rad guy. I actually met him at this, and we tell the story in the episode, but I met him in this goal setting workshop at Lululemon, and he's now a Lululemon ambassador, which I think is really cool because he's not like a yogi or a runner or what they typically do. He's actually all about food and this food movement that he brings to the table. He does rad stuff outside of cooking, just in his place, but he also teaches underserved communities how to cook and how to eat well, and pretty much just how to fuel your body but nurture yourself, like really just taking care of yourself. And a really good time doing this interview with him. It was so much fun. And as always, I would like to thank our friends over at SF Yoga Mag for being such big supporters. And the other thing I wanted to mention to you guys is I have a retreat coming up in March of 2019, and we're going to Bali. So we're going to be spending a week out there. We're going to hang out, meet some new friends, chill in a pool, eat some really yummy healthy snacks and food. We'll probably do some hiking, hang out at a beach. You can check out all the info on my website. It's just dannytublin.com. And there are 10 discounted spots. So if you use the promo code 50, that's 50, and then OFF, OFF, you get a little $50 kickback from the retreat. Hope to see you there. And without further ado, enjoy the show. Bryan, my friend, what is going on?
Just living life, man. Happy to talk to you this morning.
It's been a minute. I haven't actually seen you in real life or talked to you via text message in just a little bit, mainly because I was probably out of town.
Yeah, I feel like we've both had a lot going on. So
yeah. Well, you specifically have a lot going on right now.
Always, but that's a good thing at this stage.
So for the people that are listening to the show, so I met Bryan. When was that event that we did for Lululemon?
That must have been a month and a half ago, or oh no. Well, we reconnected about a month and a half ago, and I think I met you in December at the intersection event.
You're right. So we did this event for Lululemon where they did this book feature, and then they had a bunch of people from the city that were in different aspects, and we kind of met at dinner. And then there was the intersection event. And then we did a goal setting workshop together over at Lululemon on Grant Street here in San Francisco. And that's where we really started talking. And so in this little workshop that we did, we wrote our goals and we got to share them with everybody in the group. And it was a really cool experience for me anyway. But I got to hear you talk about your passion for food. And I was just telling you before we started recording, like you're at one point you were like, I don't see this as a passion, or it wasn't as a passion. It was like a goal, but more of a movement. And so I want to hear you share your story of your movement and why you're doing what you're doing and how you're doing it. And let's just dive in. It's mainly because I also love talking about food.
yeah, we can definitely get to the food part, I think. But food is the vessel for some bigger things, which I think you're alluding to. So I definitely view what I'm doing as not the product necessarily of passion. I think passion is something that's fleeting, and too often we think, and hear the advice: follow your passion. If you're doing something you're passionate about, then that means you're on the right track. But the reality is that anything that's hard and worthwhile, you're going to have difficult moments. And if it's just passion that's getting you through it, you might not actually get through it. So that's just an overarching thing that I want to say off the bat. And I'll kind of back into what I mean and unpack that a little bit. But for people who may not know, I run a business that is centered around nourishing whole food meals, and it takes the form of a restaurant in San Francisco. It's a fast casual restaurant. We took over an old McDonald's location, so there's a lot of symbolism there. And what got me to this point was dealing with a personal physical pain injury. It was a chronic pain injury But it was more than just physical pain. I was also deeply depressed for the first time in my life as I was dealing with recovering from this, not really knowing why I wasn't getting better. There was nothing structurally wrong with my body, and doctors
Mhm.
couldn't really tell me what was wrong. And so I started having to embrace alternative methods of healing, and that involved learning about the mind-body connection.
Sure.
It involved changing my diet to eat in an anti-inflammatory way, and also take things in that I wasn't that I had never eaten before or consumed before that would help with my recovery and rebuilding my tissue strength and my bone strength and my joint strength and reducing inflammation. Um, and so that was kind of the path that got me on the journey of learning about this broader movement that I talk about, that I'm a part of now,
Right.
which is about really learning about what any inputs into your life, how that can affect you physically and also mentally and emotionally, and using that to become the best version of yourself. And food, I found, was the cornerstone. Like that, for health and anyone to be vibrant and thriving, you really need to be putting things in your body that support that. And for me, it had a profound effect. Within 7 months, I greatly reduced the pain I was in to almost nothing. I mean, I would have flare ups, and it was a long multi-year journey after that to get to 100%.
Sure.
But after 7 months, it really helped me. And then I just dove in and wanted to learn more and wanted to help other people. And I'm a real pragmatist when it comes to this stuff. I grew up on the East Coast. I'm by nature pretty skeptical when it comes to new agey things.
Yeah.
But because it had such an impact on me, and because I really had to embrace the mind and mental and emotional aspects as well as the food that I was putting into my body, I started to realize that there's real validity to this. And the movement that I speak about is that, yes, it's about spreading real, nourishing, whole food that will support you physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's about spreading that to as many people as possible, but it's also about consuming it in a way that supports your broader health and the health of the community. And so
Sure.
I'll wrap up that first answer for you there, and I'm happy to explain
Yeah.
anything else. But that's kind of what I talk about, and that's how I got there.
What was your background? Because you're like, are you a trained chef, or like what were you doing beforehand before like food took? I mean, obviously, I know it got into your life because of your injury, or not your injury, but your health stuff that was going on. But like, what was your background beforehand?
I was a product manager. I was working for software companies.
Oh
So
wow,
I was not I was not trained in food. This is very much a career transition for me.
wow,
And it was this broader purpose of, nourishing people and helping people lead healthy lives that drew me to this. But I had always wanted to be a business owner. I had studied entrepreneurship in college. But yeah, I was in the software world. I was kind of doing the product management thing. And then, yeah, I mean, I self-taught myself how to cook, how to learn about running a food business.
sure,
I went to a holistic nutrition program called Bowman College in Berkeley. And that's actually learning more about what the food system looks like and what it does in your body through that program is what sparked my desire to create this kind of food. And I ended up teaming up with some classmates that were actually trained chefs in their day job that were in the program with me. And we did some pop-ups. So I'm a big believer in taking small imperfect action based on something that you think you might want to do. So I had this idea in my head of creating this space that had nourishing food that wasn't completely centered around alcohol, where you could just mingle mindfully with other people while enjoying a good meal. Like that was the vision of a thing I had in my head, but I didn't know what form it would take. And I didn't know how I would do it. I was still working as a PM. So I ended up just doing these pop-ups. And that was my first little foray into the world of creating a service for people through using food and charging for it.
right,
And I found that those events, I had people tell me after, I had some friends come. It wasn't all friends. I had some people that were strangers that showed up to these things. But people who knew me said, wow, this is like you embodied in an event, Bryan.
right.
Like you need to do more of this.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you're thriving and when you're like, when you've got, I mean, call it your sparkle or your shine or whatever it is, like people can see that. And so obviously people are going to be drawn to that, but people want that in you. People want to see you succeed. People want to see you like do really well. So you're jamming out. And like, I mean, I knew that when I first met you, when we were talking about goals, I was like, this guy's going to go somewhere. Like he's obviously in his element.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's amazing to have that resonate with other people. And for me, it took 10 years of nearly 10 years of working in the corporate world to get to the place where I could finally have a job that's my own, where I feel like every day I'm waking up to further that best version of myself and bring all my talents to bear in the world for good and for bad. But it's not, waking up and working to further someone else's dream. And it is so gratifying to feel that and to have other people resonate with that. So that means a lot to me, by the way, you just sharing that. And because I feel it, but sometimes it's like, wow, like, is it working?
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to hear it as well. Yeah, for sure. But it's definitely working.
Good. Yeah.
So you were talking about earlier, you started to discover the mind body connection. Now, I get a lot of yoga people on this show for sure. Obviously it's, that's what I do. But I recently in the last, I've meditated for a long time, but like my meditation game in the last 2-3 years has like taken like a giant leap forward. I don't know why. I think it was maybe some injuries, but anyway, I've been meditating a lot more. And one of the things that I've been talking about in the last 6 months is how food and mindfulness is pretty much the same thing. Now, I might have talked about this on one of my shows before, and if I didn't, there's this Netflix documentary series called Chef's Table, and it's shot beautifully. It's a really, really, really awesome show. But there's one show on there. There's one episode where they go and they interview and they watch this monk create food at the temple. And as I was watching this show, like my mind was just like, disintegrating. It was like falling apart because I was like watching her make this food and how mindful she was putting everything together and then putting it into her body. And even though the way that the Buddhist monks actually think about food, like who knew that making food and nourishing yourself is part of the mind body connection? Like it's not something that I think about at the forefront of my mind, but in all actuality, it's healing. You're literally nourishing yourself.
You're nourishing yourself. Exactly. And something that we were very conscious about as we were building out the space and transforming this McDonald's was, every day I remember last year we would sit in this space and it just felt like stress. Yeah. Like just like feeling the decor, it just felt like stress. And we said, we want to create a food experience that's the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. Because it should be about nourishing your body. Like I remember before I got injured and was dealing with my health issues, I would be eating mindlessly at work all the time. Like food was pretty much just like fuel to get to whatever next thing I needed to get to. And you can function that way. Like most people do function that way. But if we really care about living healthy, vibrant lives and really becoming the best version of ourselves possible, like so many people that are type A and driven, they view the way that they treat their body and the way what they put into their body as an afterthought. But it really will help us get better. And so we were conscious to create not just a menu that allowed for that, but a space that allowed for that. And I think that's something that's overlooked and, and is really important when we're eating, sitting down and taking a second just to enjoy what we're putting into our mouths and our bodies. And that was a ritual that when I was healing, because I was basically...
Yes. I love that you just said ritual. Yes.
Yeah. Well, check this out. So it was a ritual I had when I was healing. I was basically on bed rest for like 4.5 months during that period where I was trying to get better. And I couldn't really do much because I couldn't put weight on one of my legs. But I would kind of like hobble in the kitchen and I would cook and I would prepare all my meals for myself. And that was part of my like 3 times a day ritual of like going into the kitchen, preparing my food, sitting down, not being on my phone, just like eating the food, focusing on eating the food, then washing the dishes afterwards. Like the whole thing was just this ritual. And it helped me. It helped me de-stress. It was one of those things that I looked forward to because it made me focus on something other than my pain. And I
Yeah.
was just focusing on these one step in the process of, okay, I have to, put together this salad. Like I need the spinach, and I'm kind of mixing everything. And it sounds kind of out there, but that's really what was a big part of my healing process on the mental and emotional side. And then the food part was just this added benefit of like, I know what I'm putting in my body is nourishing, but I'm going to even amplify that by consuming it and preparing it in a way that's going to make me feel better.
So, okay, so you have people listening right now and they're like, all right, cool. So I don't want to eat anymore just to eat anymore. How do you get like, and it's true. Like I'm totally guilty of it. Like you're hustling and you're bustling and you just got to go and you got to get something in your body. Like it happens to the best of us for sure. But what do you now say to someone who's listening in and it's like, okay, so maybe I want to try a little more mindful approach to eating. Like where's a great place to start? Like how do you switch up that routine, or how do you make it so it's a little more accessible, or how do you make it so that whatever it is?
Yeah.
I have a story to share after that about what
Sure.
I did to make that happen for me, but go ahead.
Well, I would say pick one meal first. Like acknowledge that if you're just starting to try to do this, or even if you're not, it's hard to do every single meal unless you're living in a, Buddhist monastery off in the wilderness somewhere and you have no electronics and no job to get to. But we all have lives.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and I'm as guilty as you are. But I do try to take, at least one meal a day and just sit down and just enjoy what I'm eating. Like put my phone away, put it on silent. And even if it's 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, just like sitting there and just trying not to be distracted and just be with your own thoughts. So I know for a lot of people, meditation is hard because you're just kind of sitting there, quote unquote, doing nothing. But what if you just used your meal as a meditation moment?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not doing nothing, you're eating, but just
Right.
focus on eating. And so that's what I'd recommend is just take one meal where you feel like you have the space to do it, focus on eating that meal. Another way to do it, which people, this might seem counter, but I don't think it is, have a meal with someone else once a day. And so,
that's good.
yeah, so like have a conversation, like eat lunch with somebody and
Yeah.
make a
Yeah.
deal with yourselves. Like we're going to put our phones on the side of the table face down, like on silent. We're not going to look at our phones. And just like have lunch with them. And that will force you to be more present. And you might not just be sitting there focusing on like the lettuce that you're putting in your mouth, but that's still a mindful eating experience because you're not going to be as stressed. Your mind's not going to be racing. You're going to be more in the moment because you have that other person to focus on.
Wait, so you're saying I shouldn't Instagram my food and just look at it?
Hey, I mean, yeah, do you, Danny?
I love that when you go to restaurants and like the food comes out, everyone just whips out their phones for like a good 5 minutes. They're like staging their plates and like, come on.
I know. Which, hey, at this point, I'm like, I'm in the food business game right now, so like, I get it. You got to get your marketing out there, but like,
Yeah.
know what your purpose is. And I know you kind of said that tongue in cheek, but like, if you're out there to have a meal with friends, have a meal with friends. Like, you still had the meal if it's not documented on Instagram. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned this. I have my friend Michelle who owns Nana Joe's granola. I tried to set you guys up because I feel like you guys. I don't know. I get this vibe that you guys are gonna like explode together in the best way possible. But I recently went through this like, okay, like I know my eating habits are not the best. They're also not the worst. I have like ritual every morning of like a green smoothie and like, yada, yada, yada. But I tend to eat out a lot. I eat healthy, but I eat out a lot because I run around. So I actually did cooking classes with her where we went to the farmer's market. We picked out all my favorite vegetables and whatever else it was that I like to eat with no recipe, no nothing. And we came back to my house and she actually just taught me how to food prep. So I bought like all the different containers and I learned how to do like simple stuff like how to roast beets and how to like, to get vegetables prepared for the week. And it has completely changed the way I think about food and also the way I think about making food, because now it's not like I'm running to go get something to eat and just put in my body, but it's like, it's a cool thing that I get to do for myself. It's like part of my healing process in the day-to-day life that I get to do for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think there is a real connection between learning how to even simply cook your own food that makes you appreciate food when you eat out. And
Yeah.
I'm a big,
100%.
yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in simplified meal prep based on templatized cooking. And what I mean by that is I don't really cook using recipes. I mean, at the restaurant, we have to have recipes, but when we're
Sure.
coming up with stuff, we don't necessarily have the recipes. And then we back into like how to scale it and stuff. When I'm cooking for friends or at home, I certainly don't use recipes. What I do is I know how to cook and I learn how to cook each protein I'm making and each different style of side dish or vegetable a couple different ways. So if I just learn how to cook chicken 2 ways, how to cook a root vegetable 2 ways, how to cook a leafy green 2 ways, then I could make all different kinds of combinations of meals with almost like any type of vegetable, any type of protein, using fats and acid also as kind of the hidden ingredients that I'm putting at the end to kind of add a little bit of flavor and variety. But I mean, people sometimes we tend to complicate the idea of cooking or prepping more than it needs to be. And I think what was shown to you in terms of going to the farmer's market, learning some simple techniques and opening your eyes to, wow, like this doesn't have to be complicated. That's awesome. Like that's amazing that you have that experience. And that's definitely what I recommend for people is just like learn a couple things and then put delicious food combinations together. And then if you do
And
that for yourself, you can appreciate it when you go out.
and that's something that like or something that you said earlier that I like. It's like one of my big models in life, but like it's something that you look forward to. Like my green smoothie every morning, I look for. It's like ritual. I look forward to my green smoothie. I love it. I like it's like a part of my day. It kind of actually gets to me if I don't get it. You know, like I'm like, oh man, it's kind of a little bit of a bummer, but like I don't know. It really. I don't know, I get it because I've gone through this process recently. So it's nice to like, I mean, and obviously you get it because you healed your body through this, you know, and now you've turned this into more than just a lifestyle, but more of your life, you know? And so I think more that people hear this, but two, more that people get it and why they're doing it. That's the best.
Yeah. And another thing I want to say about that is people tend to get caught up on like, is this the right thing to be eating? But have you ever heard the phrase, the best diet is the one that you stick to?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's good.
so like for you, it's like this green smoothie is a ritual and you're supporting yourself with like good nutrient dense stuff. And like there might be like, I don't know what you put in your smoothie, but let's just say like there might be stuff in there that's like not 100% amazing for you all the time. But like, if that's what's going to have you getting the vegetables in your body that you're getting and like get you set on track for the day and getting you appreciating like making good food for yourself, like that's amazing. And by the way, the smoothie's probably fine. I'm just using that as an example, but like whatever it is, like even if it's, you know, not 100% paleo or vegan or gluten-free, it's like if it's just like something that you enjoy, that you feel you're nourishing yourself and that becomes your habit, that becomes your routine, then that's better than not doing anything and continuing to put garbage into your body and eat stuff that doesn't make you feel good. It makes you crash. It makes you feel, you know, in pain or bloated or whatever the symptoms are.
Right. And that being said too, I totally like there are some days where I'm like, I'm just going to cheat and go do this over here.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's all about, I don't want to say balance, but just being conscious about the choices you're making. And it's okay.
Mindful.
Being mindful. Like it's really okay to say, you know what, today I do want that chocolate croissant. And I know that I want that and I'm going to have it and I'm going to enjoy the crap out of it. Because it's delicious and I want
do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, you're choosing to honor yourself in that moment and you're eating it. And then you know where you want to swing back to. Like the pendulum's going to swing back to your center, which is like tomorrow, I'm not going to have that. I'm going to have a green smoothie because like that's what makes me feel the best most often. But I'm glad that I allowed myself this amazing, delicious experience because I'm living life.
Yeah. I'm living my best life.
I'm living my best self.
Seriously, man, Bryan, I again, man, I'm so stoked to like have connected with you in person and like I meant what I said. Like I'm so stoked that you're doing what you're doing. And even, you know, for people that are listening, like something else that he was pretty humble about that he didn't say, but on your free time, you're bringing low income families and stuff like that, or like youth in there to teach them how to cook and how to make food. And I think that's super big, super bold, and super noble. Like you're not just like doing food restaurant to like make money. Sure, that's a part of it, but like you're actually doing stuff for the community. And I think that's huge.
No, it's got to be bigger than that. I mean, we do have to make money to be a sustainable business. But with that is giving back to the community. And I mean, we're in a unique spot. We're in 16th and Mission. It's a neighborhood where there's an eclectic variety of people, and there's a real opportunity there to have an impact on people's lives that don't necessarily have the resources or wherewithal to understand how to nourish their bodies, whether it's through physical activity, through meditation, or through food. And so, yeah, we've partnered with some local nonprofit organizations to teach cooking classes to at-risk youth. And, you know, we're in conversations with a couple schools in the area that have gardens, and we're thinking about collaborating with them on garden to table cooking classes and just teaching them more about where food comes from, how to create it yourself, and how to make it taste good too, because that's really key. If it doesn't taste good, you're not going to stick with it.
Right.
But yeah, that's a big part of it, because, you know, people can run businesses the way they want to, but you know, for me, it's not enough just to say like, oh yeah, like this is a profit-seeking venture. I think personally, talking about living my truth and my purpose is it has to be improving the lives of other people.
Yeah.
And that includes the community that we're in, because if the community we're in collapses, then we're not going to exist, and all of this doesn't matter. So yeah, man, I appreciate you bringing that up. It's not something that we talk about a lot, just because I feel like it should be just a part of what we do.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I'm proud of it. I'm proud that there's more that we still can do, and we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah. I can't thank you enough, man, for taking time out and coming on the show, and just thanking you for spreading your movement, and for, you know, hopefully inspiring many, many other people to do the same. And, you know, I'm really glad to hear that people are bringing mindfulness into many, many different aspects of their life. So thanks for spending your time with me this morning and chatting about your passion. It's really awesome.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy chatting with you. So
yeah, same, man. Same. Until the next Yogi Misfit session, this is Danny and Bryan saying peace out.
Peace.